I am not a very musical person. I can't play an instrument, my album collection is very small for a person of my age, and I don't give a flying gramophone about vinyl over MP3 or CDs. My voice is pretty good in the fact that I can hit very high notes, but that is only broken out when singing that old Bodyform advert from the early 90s. Sure, it sounds rubbish, but at least makes other people wince. I'd much rather force people away from me than gather an audience. George Michael was not like me. He had a great set of pipes and wrote Careless Whisper when he was still a teenager. He was also incredibly attractive even when his hair looked like Princess Diana's, and had decent facial hair and was loved by millions. Like I said, the opposite of me. My two advantages are that I am not dead and I've not been caught cottaging in a public toilet, but both of those things are virtually guaranteed to happen. So essentially, George holds all the cards. Anyway, Wham, the music box on the ZX Spectrum. It might not make me as handsome as George, but will it make me as musically gifted? Maybe. But hold your proverbial horses and let's find out who Wham were, as I've not even mentioned poor old Andrew Ridgeley yet. Yes, Andrew Ridgeley, pop music's Marty Jannetty. Some people will know what I'm alluding to with that reference, but not many. He's a fairly low-profile chap these days, is our Andrew, but he was as vital to Wham's soar-away initial 80s success as his more illustrious counterpart. With good reason too, as those hits, they absolutely bang. Club Tropicana, Freedom, Careless Whisper, Bad Boys, Young Guns, phenomenal stuff all. George was launched from here into superstardom, had a similarly impressive solo array of songs, then he was caught doing something else solo and sadly passed away at Christmas in the mid-2010s. Yet, he passed a legend. I mean, you were a legend too, Andrew. I mean, a bit red-headed stepchild, but yeah, I mean, like I said, you did your bit too. Wham, the Music Box was published by the House of Horace, that being Melbourne House, for the sum of £9.95. Wham, the Music Box is not, as your eyes have probably reliably informed your cerebral cortex, ostensibly a game, but an application. It is a very simple music creation and editing suite that looks drier than a chaste desert salamander's minge hole. To be quite frank, even though it is as simple as a bottom of the class pigeon, I'm so out of my comfort zone with this that I feel like I've greased myself with vinegar and launched myself down a sandpaper helter-skelter. I have absolutely no musical talent whatsoever. So if there was a guy who once annoyed you at a music festival by bringing an acoustic guitar and playing it at 2 a.m. to try and pick up girls, that wasn't me. So you can rest assured that I wasn't that kind of dickhead. I did have a tinker with the software, but as you can probably guess, I was unable to offer much in the way of competition for the musician penmanship of George Michael, or even Vanilla, who sang that really awful No Way, No Way, Phenomena thing back in the 2000s. I'm sorry if I've reminded you of that particular pop record. But first, the Wham bit before we get to anything else. How did this collaboration come about? I have absolutely no idea. I had a trawl through all the features I could find and there was absolutely nothing. All I could find was that Rock and Wrestle was originally going to be a Big Daddy license, and that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about right at the moment, so I'll just shut up about that. If I'm using guesswork, which I entirely am, I would imagine it was Melbourne House approaching the record company and then just asking if they could use the Wham songs. So what do we actually get Wham-wise from this collaboration? Well, we get 5 of their biggest hits spluttered forth from the 48K sound chip, and not a great deal else. Apologies, not even a hint of a digitised photo of the pair, even on the loading screen. Let's take a quick moment to listen to how the Spectrum interprets the sound of your parents' average date night out at the Flat Roof pub in the 1980s. there you go then. All recognisable at the very least. It is very much a bit of a bolt-on licence, if you ask me, not Michael Bolton. Certainly having instantly recognisable compositions from that era probably helped. Having the duo on the front of the cover, did it hurt sales? Did it bolster them? I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know. I think probably the sort of person that would buy a software package like this would have considered Wham to be a bit naff, wouldn't they? Who knows? So other than being a very limited 5-song jukebox that plays beeper versions of one band's songs, what else can you do with this package? Well, you can compose your own music or key in tunes from sheet music, which ultimately is where the delicious meat of the program lies. The on-screen piano keyboard corresponds to the bottom row of your computer keyboard, and you're able to fiddle with the octave and speed of your symphony. The clever bit is that Music Box gives your 48K Spectrum an extra sound channel. Yes, indeed, a whole 2 sound channels. Finally, the power of 2-part harmony or simple chords are within the grasp of your underpowered black block. You can store the resultant music on either a tape or, if you're Joe McFancypants, a micro drive, which were always advertised and subsequently ignored by me whenever I got to them at the back of Crash magazine. What's really clever though is the Whamplifier, which enables you to save the music as a block of code which you can then utilise in your own programs. There's probably a ton of bedroom coded Space Invaded clones where some cheeky wag has just cribbed Club Tropicana from this software to use in their own alien blasting, but I've not come across any. Without really knowing what I'm doing, I can tell from my experience using video editing software that the layout isn't massively different, which is amazing really when you consider it's incredibly ancient a piece of software. You can listen back to what you've just done with a touch of the Q button and make adjustments on the fly. There's a few different sounds you can add, like a bass drum, alright, a slightly different beep, and you can even change the background colour by simply pressing one numerical button, which I am extremely capable of doing incredibly well. I'm a right genius at changing the background of this music program, just not using the music program in any useful way, shape or form. I did wonder how often this software was used in games due to its ease of use and that Whamplifier, which enabled you to just insert its compositions into software. But ultimately, you do suspect that people a lot smarter than me who compose music for bigger companies probably would have used far more complicated techniques and software for this kind of thing. Now, Sinclair User loved it. It received a 5 out of 5 from them in their issue 46. They said the alleged pop group Wham has allowed Melbourne House to convert 5 of their hit singles to the system, and those tunes are recorded after the main programme. Whether or not you enjoy Wham, the results certainly show off the power of the programme to good advantage. It is incredibly easy to produce acceptable music with this programme. Anybody, absolutely anybody who writes games or likes mucking about with software should boogie on down to the stores and buy it. So yes, pretty useful piece of kit. So much like a trip to a Beverly Hills public toilet for a quest of inter-man sex play, you'll probably feel like Wham's music box is a little bit awkward and difficult to handle when you first encounter it, but I'm sure you'll get a good grip on it and soon get into the swing of things, and you'll find it a lot easier to swallow and find out you're actually pretty handy with it. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, there you go, that's my cottaging jokes done and another episode wrapped up. So like, subscribe, and okay, thanks, bye.